Hey, here we are. It's February the 25th, and we are on the freeway heading down to the hospital to get my latest PET CT scan to see where the cancer, how's it going in terms of getting riven. Or here's Krista.
Hi.
So we're just stuck here. We'll be there in about a half an hour and stuff. So yeah, been a while since I did a video. So all the hair is gone. You'll notice that the eyebrows are kind of gone too. So looking a little bit creepy now. So yeah, we're gonna go down for a scan today, and I guess later we'll get the results back later this week. So we're also in our new car. So we're in our Volt. So I shared on Krista's Facebook last while. One of the last few treatments I was going down to, I got sideswiped by another car, and so our Prius was actually written off and stuff. So we actually had to get another car. So we're in our Chevy Volt, which is pretty cool actually. So it's electric and gas and hybrid all at the same time. So it's pretty cool. Anyway, so just going to give you a quick update and let you know how things are going. And like I said, maybe later this week we'll figure out where things are. All right, bye. Hi. So Krista's over here driving, keeping us safe. So just got back from our doctor. So we got the scan results and stuff. So we don't have access to the report. We're gonna get that and look at it ourselves a little bit later. But his kind of interpretation analysis of it was there's been a small decrease, not as much as last time. So the chemo's kind of, I guess, tailed off a little bit. So it's more or less about he said like approximately like a 15% decrease in the amount of sugar absorption in the test and stuff. And there was a little bit of shrinkage in the tumor, but nothing really significant in terms of physical size and stuff. We haven't looked at the results and stuff. We'll look at that probably a little bit later today. Anyway, so there's a little bit of a decrease, but it's not as much as what he was hoping for, expecting. So we're on our way home now. So kind of what we talked with Dr. Greg Ansridge about was he's going to review where we are with kind of his team of doctors and surgeons that he works with, so to get kind of some second opinions and whatnot, and see if surgery makes sense. Again, last time most of the surgeons that we talked to weren't really interested, I guess, for lack of a better word, in doing the surgery because of the size. So again, there hasn't been a huge decrease in the size, so I don't know what they're going to say. But anyway, so he's gonna get back together with the team, he said, and he'll reach out to us, either him or someone else from the hospital or from the medical facility, get back to us in about 2 weeks or so to figure out next steps. So we talked about there was surgery is again something we can look at as an option depending on how comfortable the surgeons are. The other thing he talked about was there's a kind of a newish thing called immunotherapy, and if you're anyone in here who living in the U.S., you've probably seen commercials for it, where down here in the U.S. they advertise drugs, and so one of the, I guess, the typical ones that you'll see a commercial for down here is Keytruda, sorry. And there's a couple. There's like 5. I think he said there were 5 varieties. But essentially, what immunotherapy does is it's a shot. It's a kind of, not a shot, I should say. It's a, what's the word again? Infusion. It's an infusion like chemo, where we'd get it every couple of weeks or whatever. And what it does is, the way he explained it kind of in layman's terms is, it kind of, what cancer does, right? It hides, more or less it hides itself from your immune system, and so that's how it kind of grows and develops and stuff. So what these immunotherapies do is it kind of removes the cloak. If you, Star Trek reference, if you remove the cloak from the cancer, your immune system kind of gets heightened and gets aware of it, and your immune system can fight it off. So there's a bunch of those, and those he seemed to be quite positive about those as well. they're a relatively new type of drug, so they've only been around for about 5 years. They're approved by the FDA here in the U.S. and stuff, so there's 2 or 3 that he was recommending. And so, but kind of depending on what we would do is determined by if and when we would do surgery. So depending on if we do surgery or not, we would or wouldn't take these immunotherapies, or it would determine which one to take versus not take, because some of the side effects, there are potential side effects, unlike chemo. You know, I'd get my hair back and all that kind of stuff. But what some of the typical things are, like joint pain. The other thing was, what was the other one? Psoriasis. So like, you know, scaling skin and stuff like that. So there are still side effects with this thing. But he spoke positively about it. He gave some scenarios, some examples of people who've taken it, and they're on it for long periods of time. But when they come off it, it seems to be quite quite effective, at least in the examples that he was giving us. And in terms of me, you know, obviously I've talked about how blessed I've been with, you know, the lack of side effects for chemo. And so again, you know, he mentioned there are definitely side effects with this immunotherapy, but he said based on, you know, my experience, with the chemo, the drug is different, so there's no predicting, you know, how I'd respond to it. But, you know, he was thinking that, you know, historically speaking, I probably wouldn't see a lot of the side effects or wouldn't experience them as much as some people do. So anyway, that's the update. So again, feeling good. Again, was hoping, you know, obviously for a more positive decrease and whatnot. But again, you know, Chris and I were just talking. We had John Bevere. I don't know if you know of John Bevere, anyone who's kind of in the church community and stuff. He's a pastor out of Denver. He's come to our church a number of times. It was funny. We went to church, not this Sunday, but last Sunday, and he was at our church. And he talked about Joseph, and we were just talking about this in the car before I got on the video. We were talking about Joseph and how, you know, as a young boy, he told his family, like, through this dream that God gave him, that, you know, he was going to be a great, powerful man. And then, you know, John kind of, when he was preaching, kind of laid it out. You know, Joseph, you know, had this really high of, hey, this great vision from God. And then, you know, then his brothers sold him into slavery, threw him in a pit, and then, you know, his life kind of went downhill big time. And it was literally, I think, when he told the story, it was like 12 years that Joseph had to wait for his you know, his blessing, his dream to come true, more or less. And again, so, you know, it's one of these things. It's like, you don't always see the results right away. You know, you got to do the work. And again, there's one interesting part when he was talking about the story, right? So, which I never really thought about before. He was highlighting the fact that, you know, it was this dream that God gave Joseph, right? And then obviously, you know, it was through this dream that Joseph received kind of like the vision for his life and what the blessing was going to be. And then, you know, he got thrown into prison and in Egypt, and that was all really, really bad. And then there was one point where he said, and then I guess it was one of the guys, I forget who, the baker, I guess, yeah, the baker came. And he remembered Joseph, and he said, you know, he interpreted dreams. And I guess the part that really stuck out to me was, you know, it was almost like the dream, the thing that, you know, the power that Joseph gotten from this vision, the dream, was the thing that is almost like insult to injury. When the baker came and asked Joseph, say, hey, you interpret dreams, he's in the prison, and he's gotta like, yeah, like, I interpret dreams. And, you know, he was like, okay. And even though it was the thing that almost feel like probably like it betrayed him, it was the thing that he had to speak to and embrace for this other individual to really, you know, he's like, hey, I'd interpret dreams and do that, but still, you know, he didn't see his dream come true. It was almost like, I think what John had said when he preached, it was like, even after that episode where he interpreted the dream for the baker, it was another 2.5 years before the baker even remembered him and came back again. So again, sometimes it's, I guess, you know, the thing that I took away from it was, well, you know, sometimes God moves in miraculous ways, and it's really quick and it's really fast and it's really powerful. But there's a lot of times where, you know, there's just it's a long road, and you know, there's work to be done. and you got to just stick with it. And again, so yeah, the report wasn't as positive and wasn't as as what we were hoping for. But again, I think it's the faith through the long haul. I think that a lot of times is where the growth is. And we were, again, Chris and I were just talking about that then, but how a lot of times you just got to do the work, because it's through the journey that's where growth is, right? That's where you learn and you understand stuff. When things are easy, you don't really learn anything. So yeah, so that's where things are. Again, still feel really positive, really not down by any means emotionally. I still feel great physically. After the chemo has been done now for a couple of weeks, I feel great. Not as tired. I got my weight back up. I'm back to the gym more regularly. I'm running a little bit faster than I would. So again, all the other stuff is doing really well. So again, next step in the journey now is waiting to hear back from the doctors and getting some recommendations from them on what potential next steps could be. We're also Thursday, we are going down to see our integrated oncologist. So again, she's the lady, the natural doctor, more or less. And so we're meeting with her on Thursday to kind of review the same stuff and get her thoughts and opinions on some of this stuff too. So that's where we are. And anything else?
I don't think so.
No? All right, cool. We're almost home now. So I'll sign off and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.